As we move into week two is all about meeting people's needs. So moving from just the self and into thinking about what is going on in the world around us. And from a sustainability point of view, we're going to look at a few different models, but also start to really look at systems thinking. And that is, what are the systems that we are operating within, and how are we meeting the needs of the people within those systems, and having all very different needs, and also impacting each one of those people and those objects in that system. Before we do that though, I'd like to offer you another mindfulness practice, and this will start to help us think about how we feel in our bodies when we relate to other people. Hopefully you're on board with me now about the benefits of mindfulness, and you know that I'm probably a little bit hippie and a little bit outside the box, so hopefully you trust me enough to come with me again on this. So wherever you are, whether you're inside or outside, I'm going to invite you to get comfortable, and seated is probably best for this meditation, again, so you don't fall asleep, with your feet on the ground or your hip bones on the ground if you're seated. And I'm just going to invite you to settle in and to soften your gaze or close your eyes, whatever feels more comfortable to you. And start to notice your breath. The breath of life is what helps to unite us all. The ha sound, and also we see that in the Māori language from words like ko ha, ha, the reciprocation, the giving and receiving of something, and in this case it can be the giving and the receiving of breath. This is on a very basic level how we are interacting with the environment around us. The exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and a very direct reminder of how reliant we are on the natural environment, on the very air that we breathe and the quality of that air that goes in and out of our body multiple times in a minute, and how we would be affected if the quality of this air was different. We can also feel into other ecosystems or other elements around us, acknowledging the earth beneath us. And you may want to bring your awareness into the lower half of your body, or in the place that connects with the earth, whether that's your feet or your sit bones. And just allow yourself to settle in here. Some of us have had busy days, we have busy lives with many responsibilities, and I'm inviting you here and now to acknowledge those and also park them for the next wee while, and see if your busy mind can just melt and settle as you start to connect in with the earth's energy. And of course we are human, so if your mind does wander, just gently bringing it back. Knowing that the past and the future will be there for you when you come out of this mindfulness practice. And as we acknowledge the earth beneath us, Pachamama, Papatuanuku, Earth Mother, we can also acknowledge the air and the heavens and the sky above us, helping hold our atmosphere together. So many chemical processes happening up there that allow us to breathe. And some say, and in some traditions, that being in the human body is the bridge in between heaven and earth. And we're reminded by that with our breath, because without the sky above us, it wouldn't be possible. And we're going to imagine some different sensations to do with nature affecting our system. And this is where we start to move from thinking outside of ourselves into also acknowledging the elements and people around us. As we do that, I'm going to invite you to notice the sensations in your body. And different sensations can be temperature. So right now, just notice if you are cooler in one place of your body, and if you're warmer or hotter in another place of your body. Notice if you have any tension in your body. So we often hold tension in our shoulders, our stomach, and even our jaw. Seeing if you can relax the muscles in all of your body as you breathe. And the last sensation we feel is movement, or we can use words to help us describe different feelings in our body, like pulsing or tingling, pounding, feeling open or closed or contracted. So as we move through these different scenarios of different ways that we interact with the world around us, I'm just going to invite you to sense into how you feel in your body. What are sensations that come up for you? And the first one we're going to start with is being in the natural environment and experiencing sun on your bare skin. And you can even look around you and imagine what you might be seeing in this place in your mind. You might be hearing things. And what do you feel when you feel the sun coming in? And notice what that does to the tension in your body and to any sensation or movement. Do you have a sense of it making you feel open or closed, for example? Sometimes tingling can be associated with feeling excited, perhaps, or energy moving through the body. And now let's transition that image into being in water. So swimming and moving through water. And notice how that feels in your body. And these scenarios are offering us a place to come back into the natural environment, back into our natural state or way of being. And then we also have society. We have the human or built environment too. So inviting you to notice the sensations in your body or how you feel when you think about a time pressure related to study or work. What happens in your body when you think about a deadline or a time pressure related to your study or your work? And now moving into imagining being connected with a loved one, somebody that makes you feel good. And this could be an animal or a pet. It could also be a human, somebody that you feel safe with. And notice what happens in your body then in relation to temperature or tension or movement. And in a few moments, we are going to transition out of this mindfulness practice. But before we do, we've acknowledged the natural world. We've acknowledged parts of a human world, some pressures that we might have, some joys that we might have of being a part of society. And we're just going to close by acknowledging nature again, acknowledging all the air around us, our breath, and also the other people in your course doing this at the same time as you. I'm wondering if you can sense a feeling of community or connection with people across time zones, doing this at different times, with many, many different backgrounds, different stories, but all being united here through one story of wanting to learn and grow and expand, and hearing the same meditation that you're hearing right now. So this is a real merging of the natural world with the human world, and starting to think about how we meet the needs of all of those different elements. Inviting you to take a few energizing breaths to bring some aliveness back into your body. And if your eyes are closed, just very, very gently starting to blink your eyes open. And perhaps even looking around the room or the environment around you. And finding yourself back connected into the screen and into this call. Thank you for joining me in that wee exercise, and some practical applications of where taking a moment to pause might be helpful is, especially if you're feeling stressed in your life, and we all know we have a lot of external pressures, and taking a moment to really look after ourselves and our mental health, we know has a really direct impact on how we interact with others. And we know this. If we are really struggling in life, often people feel like they want to close off, and that means closing off to relationships and connections. We also know that the opposite is true too. When we feel connected to ourselves and we feel like we're in a good place, we have more capacity to connect with others, to be able to give back to our society, and to also think about the world around us. And I would suggest that the more positive mindset and frame of mind that we have, the more ability we have to make change and to think about the natural environment. I know, and this is just human conditioning, is that if we're going through a really rough patch, which we all do, I can speak for myself, my awareness perhaps of how much I can give back becomes diminished, because I can become very insular and really get attached to and connected to my own story, and what's going on for me, and enter into a bit of that cycle. And so looking after ourselves is actually really, really important, not just for you, but for your family, for the people around you, and for the natural environment. And to extend a potential perspective as well, is that some people believe that actually by healing ourselves, we're healing the planet and we're healing the ecosystem as well. So that could be through the example that I just gave, that we have more capacity to give back to the natural environment. And some people believe that on an energetic level as well, that by healing our own bodies, we're also healing the body of the planet, or Mother Earth's body as well. And something that I was really interested in during lockdown here in New Zealand during COVID was when we had to stay inside. No one was moving. The streets were quiet. It was like the whole energy of the place just kind of came to a slow, not complete standstill, but almost, things just slowed right down. Everything stopped. And what I noticed in my environment was that the birds came back. And it was unbelievable how many birds were around when the noise of the humans and the noise of the cars weren't there. And now that we are busy and we're noisy again, the birds have also left. And I know because I live on this property and we have birds come in here a lot. And I think during that time, during lockdown, people also had a chance to reflect and think, hey, what is important to me? And perhaps a bit of slowing down and looking after ourselves is a way that we can move forward and heal the earth as well. When we weren't moving around so much, we weren't so busy, we were driving our cars less, there was less carbon emissions. There were a lot of accounts of wildlife coming back into areas that had never seen that type of wildlife in that ecosystem before. And so this perpetual movement and perpetual growth for success that we often have, and that the system that we operate in tells us that is what often gives us worth, is also a system that can perpetuate a lot of taking and extracting of resources and damage and pressure on our natural environment. And so the argument would be, as humans start to heal their own bodies and slow down and come back to the basics of what's really important, so too will the earth start to respond. So I'm going to leave you with that thought for now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the modules for this week.